So I'm going to try another one, but this time I want to make more of a stereotypical thriller cover. A thriller cover, usually you'll have something like a man running away from the camera or from the viewer. This is what I'm going to try to make. These guys aren't running, they're just kind of walking. It's more of a pensive, maybe mystery. But these two are very well done for, this is the Czech version I found in Prague, that's why the titles look funny. But they're by Robert Galbraith, and it's just a lot of really nice warm lighting, vignette around the edges, and kind of a monochromatic color, or dual chromatic, where you have blue and yellow. Blue and yellow are really good contrast. This is almost like a tealish blue, which is why it works really well. In this one, the red wouldn't have gone so well with the blue, so it's just orange and yellow and red. But we'll make something like that. The hard part is finding a figure that's going to look good in the book cover. And also you have to find the setting. This is kind of nice the way they did this, where they have a little bit of really back foreground behind the character, and then they also have some foreground with some texture and some detail in front, which is a nice effect. And if you search for stock photography for a figure running, you'll find some things, but you won't find very much good. You'll find a lot of stuff that looks kind of fake or cheesy, and I don't like having a solid silhouette. This is more of a solid silhouette, but even so, you see a little tiny bit of light around the edges, and his shoes, and this you can see kind of, it's more 3D. I don't like where you just have a total black silhouette because it looks kind of fake. I'll show you an example if I can. This is another one I found in the same bookstore in Prague, where they just use a silhouette, but it's not showing up. I'm not sure why it's so slow right now, but it's just a solid silhouette that's black, and it just looks a little bit fake. I'll try to come back to it later. So I'm going to look for, I've been looking for pictures of corridors and arches, so I found something like that, and I found one decent running man picture that I can use. He's not perfect. Like most of these pictures, it doesn't really look like he's running. He looks kind of like he's posing, but that's what we're going to use. So I've gone to here, and I'll just set 6:9 and import some pictures. First I'll find that big corridor picture I found for the background. There's already a guy kind of running in the background, but he's too small, and this is a tiny bit off-centered, so I'm going to rotate it a little bit. And that doorway, this is the white area where I want my guy to be running. That's almost too far away, so I'm going to make this a lot bigger. So that you'll be able to see him a little bit more. So there's already kind of a white background. I think I could just take my eraser tool and erase this little guy a little bit. That way he's not going to get in the way of the new guy that I'm going to upload. And I also want there to be some white glow. I could also have just added another layer of white. But if I do this way and I delete some of these edges, it makes it look like the light is really just pouring in, kind of a glow effect. I can even make that bigger. I'm going to need to do it up on top also. I'll probably want to darken all the edges later. I'll do that in a minute, but first I'm going to add my running guy. I think he's in here. I could also have added, another character as well. I mean, this would have worked pretty well, but then I would have to erase around her really carefully. Like I've said before, if you really have to do this well, it's easier just to hire someone on Fiverr to do it for you and they'll do a better job. But if you can get away with something pretty rough, oftentimes it'll still look fine if it has a little bit of a glow around the character. It depends if you want. I mean, depending on your genre, you might want to have a big character kind of like this, even off to the side. It looks like that eraser didn't erase very cleanly, but I've done this before, and if you save the file and come back, then those pixels will be gone and it'll be all smoothed out. So we could do something like that, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm looking for my running guy to make more of a stereotypical thriller. There's a couple guys, I found some guys walking, and they would be okay as well, but it doesn't really have that thriller feel. You really need somebody running, and I've found a few sites where you can find really nice pictures, but there aren't very many. Even if you hire a really professional designer, they're going to have issues finding images that they can use that haven't been used a million times. And I can just hit darken or multiply, and because I have this light behind him, it's going to work really well. I'm going to make that smaller even. His shoe looks really funny. I think it's because there's there's a reflection on his shoe. So I'm just going to need to delete the bottom of his shoe there. I can set this is my eraser, I can set the softness to hard. If it's a hard edge, when I delete it, you won't get that softening, but you have to be careful of what you delete. And I have to try to make it look like he's not flying. And because I've just added him, I'm also probably going to need to add some shadow, and that's going to be a little bit tricky. But I'll show you one way we can do it. And he actually needs to be smaller. This is a really big doorway, so to put a person here at the very end of it, he'd have to be a lot smaller. If I move him forward a little bit, then it's okay, because compared to, you have to look at, like, this is where he would be standing if he was about that tall. Now he looks too small. If I move him down here, he looks like a midget. So you have to put him in the right place. Maybe about there. And then what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer and turn it around. Oops, it doesn't turn around. So I'm just creating a mirror image of it, only it's not letting me reverse it. Maybe if I do this one. Up here is your rotate buttons. And you kind of want to think about where the shadow is going to go. And it should probably be underneath the other image. And I'm going to go to blur. It's only blurring the edges right now, but I could also go to oops. Oh, I see. Let me try that again. So because I have this on darken, the blur or the shadow doesn't really work because actually this is a square. So first I would have to delete some of this around him. I'll set it to normal so you can see. Oops. That's kind of funny. I should have done this before I reversed it. Now that I've reversed it, it's making the eraser kind of weird. But because this is just a shadow, it doesn't have to be very perfect. There won't be very much there. And it crashed. That's too bad.